Jo here, founder of Freckles, and in this week's video I want to talk to you very briefly about parenting guilt. We are about to go into a training session, and one of the things that we cover in it is about kind of the background of parenting guilt and how you often have to, if you're aware of the fact that a parent is feeling guilty about something, the impact that will have potentially on their disciplining their children, or the behaviour, or maybe you feeling undermined. So I'm just going to summarise that as best I can. It's a massive topic, and I'm very much brushstroking here. This isn't a thing for everybody, but it's worth being aware of. So often when we're looking after the children, we will have been asked to instill a certain type of behaviour. You know, please make sure they eat all of their vegetables at tea time before they have yoghurt for pudding. Or, you know, they have a sharing rule, they've got to share their toys. If they don't, then they'll go on the naughty step. Or we've got a reward chart, or they need to earn 5 pebbles to get a bar of chocolate. Whatever it might be. And what often happens is that there will be diligently working to this level, doing everything we can to make sure our child is eating all of their 3 sticks of broccoli, thinking about all the creative ways that we can entice it into them. And you might find that a parent has come home and little Oliver, let's say, has gone, I don't want to eat my broccoli. And you're like, Oliver, we've been sat here for 20 minutes, you know, rules are rules, blah, blah, blah. If you want your yogurt, you need to eat your broccoli. And you'll have been having quite a contest, and mum or dad or parent will just go, oh, it's fine, just have yogurt. You're literally like, I beg your pardon. Obviously you don't look like that, but you're thinking, what are you doing? I've spent ages trying to get him to eat his broccoli, and it's just out the door. And that is something that happens all the time, and the reason a parent may do that is because they feel guilty. It is like you have a child and suddenly there's a chemical imbalance, a chemical balance changes, and you feel bad about everything. Parents feel bad because they aren't there enough, they're there too much, they parent too much, they parent too little, they're too strict, they're too kind, they're not good enough, they're not like the other mums or dads, they, you know, they're there, they're away, they're on their phone, they're not, their child's great, their child's not great. They feel bad about pretty much everything. And it's only because they love their children and they care and they want the best for them, but it can make our jobs quite difficult when we're trying to instill kind of a certain type of behaviour. But if you're aware of the fact that they feel guilty, then you can forgive them and you can understand that they're not doing it to undermine you and make you feel like you're doing a bad job. They're not doing it for any other reason than they want their child to be happy, and sometimes that comes across in a way that we find a bit tricky to manage. And you see guilt in all sorts of things, like, you know, another one would be around kind of behaviour, so like a PlayStation, let's say, and the child you might have been told there were like 30 minutes on the PlayStation, and you're very strict on that, you know, that is the rule. Occasionally you're a bit sneaky and you allow like an extra 5 minutes here, or you might add it to their reward chart, but more or less you're implementing what the parent has asked you to do. That is your job. And then they come home and then they give in, or the child runs to them and gets what they want, and that is just because that parent feels bad. And it might be that they feel bad that the other parent isn't there, or whatever it might be, but it's the fact that we have to deal with that. And so I would just urge you to just, you know, have that in your radar, have that in your brain, that a parent feels bad, pretty much always feels bad, and sometimes they can't pick the battles that we can pick. So we just have to be like, okay, that's fine, but you just go back to doing it whenever you're doing it, you do it the way the parent wants it to be done. So whenever I've done it, you know, I've just gone, that's fine. You know, ultimately at the end of the day, as much as that might annoy me because I'm, you know, I've made great progress in terms of eating broccoli or not going on the PlayStation, but, you know, that's gonna have set me back a couple of days. But to be honest, that's life. And ultimately at the end of the day, those parents are the parents, and I'm there to help them, and so that's fine. But it's something that actually, interestingly, a lot of people aren't always that aware of. And when we bring it up in training, it's there's quite a lot of discussion around it, and people find it really interesting that that's what goes on in the parental brain, so to speak. Anyway, that's enough from me on parental guilt. I will be back next week with another video on anything and everything to do with nannying, childcare and children. For now, have a wonderful week.